Well, a very, very happy Friday morning to everyone, and welcome to the John Kentera Show, San Diego Sports Talk. And we're here today for about an hour. About an hour. I would imagine there are a lot of people out there that would like to chat with me today about what went on yesterday at Petco Park. Just an incredible day at Petco Park all the way around. I mean, hats off to the Padres. They did one marvelous job. Great opening day, and it made it even better because the Padres walked away with a 7-4 victory. We got a lot to unpack. A lot of things went on in that ball game yesterday that we're going to discuss. One thing that went on, man, the Padres had to use that bullpen right out of the gate, and the bullpen came up smelling like a rose. I thought they pitched really well. Jacob coming out, he had a little bit of a problem relieving Michael King, but other than that, the bullpen was solid. I know Robert Suarez struggled there in the ninth inning, but he got out of it. And we'll talk about all that. There were a lot of really good things that went on, but I want to kind of mention, and this is important because Jonathan, who works with me on the program, and myself, and Alan Sliwa, who we work with, we had a meeting yesterday. And it's come to our forefront that we need to do more. And not that I want to work 5 days a week or 6 or 7 days a week like I did for many years, but we are going to add a show. We're going to be on starting on Monday. We're going to move our time slot to 9 a.m. We'll be on pretty much 9 to 10 on Monday. We're going to add Wednesday, and then we'll have Friday. So make a programming note. And again, please subscribe to the channel and like it and send your comments. But we're going to go to 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. And I think that will get the job done. And who knows? Later in the year, maybe we do something else. Maybe I come on one night when something crazy happens at a ball game. All of a sudden, Jonathan and I log on at 10 a.m. or 10 p.m. and start talking about what went on in the ball game. But we're going to add the Wednesday show. And again, our time is going to change. We're going to go to 9 a.m. starting on Monday. Yeah, I want to go back to yesterday. And I want to talk a little bit about everything that went on yesterday. First of all, the attendance yesterday broke a Petco Park opening day record. They had 45,568. They beat the record of 45,516. I think that was back in like 2014. But the all-time Padre record for opening day, you got to go back to 2003. 61,707 showed up for the final opening day at Qualcomm Stadium. But a great crowd yesterday. And hats off to you fans. You guys continue to come out and support this ball club, and it's so impressive. And I would imagine tonight, and tonight's a special night for me because this is Tony Gwynn opening day. And I think anybody that spent, 5 minutes around Tony loved the second day. Tony didn't like the pomp and circumstances. He just wanted to play baseball. And towards the end of his career, Tony would say to me, Coach, tell everyone what about opening day. And so I would stand in front of Tony's cubicle with members of the media. And a lot of times the members of the media were people, they were news people. They were sports anchors that, didn't come out all that on. They came out on special days. Okay. And Tony would have me give the lecture. Okay, Tony just doesn't want to see you on opening day and special days. He wants to see you out here in July or August on a Wednesday night for just a regular game. And so tonight is Tony Gwynn opening day. And I'm always looking forward to it. I'll look forward to tonight. Dylan Cease going, see if he can get a 2-0 series lead over the Bravos. They're going to be sending Ronaldo Lopez to the mound, who's a very good pitcher, by the way. But today's always a special day because it's Tony Gwynn opening day. Now, the difference between Tony Gwynn opening day now compared to what it was when Tony was playing, that you had very few fans that showed up. Everybody was so exhausted from the day before opening day that you didn't have a packed crowd. You'd have a good crowd, but you wouldn't have like a sold out crowd or a crazy crowd like they had yesterday or even back in 2003 when they had over 61,000. But I had to mention that. Okay. Some of the things that I really liked what the Padres did yesterday, it was really cool that they honored Ricky Henderson, who passed away back on December 20th. That was cool. Ricky was a good guy. He was really one of the characters of the game, but a good guy. Had some really good conversations with him and even had a great conversation with him when he played for the San Diego Surf Dogs. Remember that? I remember going out and doing a remote broadcast from Tony Gwynn Stadium out at San Diego State one night, and Ricky came on. That was a fun night. We had Ricky Henderson, Terry Kennedy was managing the Surf Dogs, and I was the Samurai Bears from Japan. Warren Cromartie, the former Montreal Expo and Kansas City Royal was managing. That was a fun night. That'll be a night I always remember. But I was really excited about the Padres honoring Ricky Henderson. The other thing that I thought was really cool, and we talked about it on Monday, we gave you the news about our buddy Bryce Miller from the Union Tribune passing away over the weekend at the age of 56 from cancer. Yesterday in the press box, this is cool. In the press box, the Padres had where Bryce sat, they had his name plate up and they had a nice bouquet of flowers honoring our buddy Bryce Miller. Bryce is a great guy, really a wonderful man, and he will be sorely missed. They had something I never seen before. You usually have a big flyover. Well, yesterday the flyover was by helicopters after the national anthem, and then the first pitch thrown out by our Hall of Famer Trevor Hoffman. Caught by a great guy as well as Trevor Hoffman, Carlos Hernandez. Got a lot of great memories with both of those guys. So I thought that was really, really cool. Okay, we're going to get into the ball game yesterday. And, I had said throughout the course of the spring that I did not think Michael King was really pitching the ball real well. Now, his last two starts were better, but even in his last Cactus League start, he gave up 3 runs. And you're not going to, worry too much about that. But he earned this opening day start on what he did a year ago, putting up a 2.95 ERA. He earned the start. He went out there yesterday, all pumped up, and I felt really bad for him. And he was trying to do too much. He was throwing yesterday rather than pitching. He lasted 2 2/3. And Mike Shildt had to go get him. I mean, it was that simple. I mean, Michael's numbers yesterday, 2 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, all earned, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, very erratic, all over the place. Beating up his catcher, Elias Diaz, who was having a hell of a time trying to handle him yesterday. I mean, he didn't know where that ball was going. And if he doesn't know where it's going, how's the catcher going to know where it's going? But he was trying to do too much. He was amped up his first opening day start. And he was just amped up. And the thing was, if he'd have backed off, his ball was moving great. The problem was he was overthrown. He was so geeked up for that start. And you know what? The bullpen bailed him out. And Mike Shildt had to get him out of there. He threw 76 pitches and couldn't even get through the 3rd inning. But he'll get back on track. But again, I did not think he had a great spring, in my opinion. And I know you take those spring training numbers with a grain of salt, but I didn't like the way he pitched during the spring. And yesterday, I'm going to throw that one away. I mean, he'll get back on track, but that one yesterday was ugly, and that's one you want to throw in the circular file. Very, very much so. And I know he's disappointed, but he'll bounce back. He's a pro, and we know how tough he is. His next start, against the Cleveland Guardians, he'll be much better. And he'll be going against a good lineup as well. But then the bullpen. Alec Jacob came in, an inning, 3 hits, a run, strikeout through 31 pitches for an inning of work. That's too many pitches. But then after that, they were flat out nails, aside from Suarez getting himself into a little bit of trouble there in the 9th inning. I mean, Yuki Matsui, an inning and 2/3, 2 strikeouts, I thought looked great. I mean, he looked totally different than he did at the beginning of last year. And if you remember last year, as the season went on, he got better and better and better. And this guy's, I think, a real weapon, the way he's pitching right now. He looked great yesterday. Jeremiah Estrada, inning in the third, a walk, a strikeout. He threw well. Wandy Peralta got one out. He got the final out of the seventh inning. He ended up qualifying for the win. Jason Adam, a 1-2-3, eighth inning, and then Suarez, one inning, a walk, couple of strikeouts. It took him 24 pitches. Really couldn't, had a hard time putting away hitters when he was ahead in the count, but nonetheless, he got the save and did a nice job. And, Robert Suarez, I mean, he didn't have a good spring either. So, confidence builder for him. But overall, I thought they did a hell of a job. And, I was kind of wondering, all of a sudden, you set your roster and now you got to go to the bullpen, but nobody threw that much that somebody's going to get sent down. You're always worried if you got options and you throw multiple innings, you may get sent down. But nobody's going to get sent down. Hopefully everybody stays healthy. Okay, let's talk about Fernando. What a hell of a day. What a way to start. And I got to tell you, I was in my car yesterday morning. I was coming back from a doctor's appointment. And I got the lineup on my phone. I get all the stuff from the Padres and right when it's coming off. And I'm going, oh, this is bitching. Fernando is leading off. I love when Fernando leads off. And I'm going to tell you why. Because to me, it keeps him in the game mentally. He wants to be that offensive catalyst. Now, I don't know if they're just going to do that against left-handed pitching and go back to a rise with right-handers and hit Fernando second. I don't know. We might find out tonight. Or Mike Shildt may go with the hot hand. Hell, Fernando yesterday, man, he was a one-man wrecking crew there. I mean, he was running all over the place. He had 2 stolen bases yesterday. That's the first time last year he had 0 games with multiple stolen bases. That tells you he's healthy. And he got big jumps. Chris Sale, man, I don't know what the hell he was thinking out there. But you know what? Everybody's going to run. With this new rule, the runners, the offense has such a great advantage. But Fernando yesterday, 3 for 4, 2 runs scored, 2 stolen bases. And I love him in the leadoff spot. If you look back at his career, he has been most productive, in my opinion. And I don't know, you can look at runs scored, you look at stolen bases, you look at home runs, look at average. I don't know about you, but I like him in the leadoff spot. I think historically his numbers have been better in the leadoff spot. And more than anything else, it looks like he's more engaged. He wants to be that disruptive influence. When he's hitting third or second, which he hit a lot last year, it's just not the same. I don't know. Maybe you agree or disagree with me. But I like that guy at the top of the order. And the other thing that I like, if Fernando's on first, you got a left-hand hitter in a rise who can spray that ball around, going to put the ball in play. Could be a hit-and-run guy if you need it. I mean, I really liked that lineup yesterday. The only thing I didn't like was that Cronenworth was in the starting lineup. And he went 0 for 4 with 2 strikeouts. I thought Shildt, and I know why he did it, okay? Cronenworth hit 203 last year against left-handed pitching. And Jose Iglesias, last year in 92 at bats, hit 405 for the New York Mets and hit 337 on the year. I thought he'd run the veteran out there. But he didn't. He had Brandon Lockridge out there in place of Hayward, right-hand hitter. And then he had Yuli Gurriel, DHing rather than Gavin Sheets. And Gavin Sheets made his presence known very well against Hector Neris, leading off the bottom of the 7th inning, and he hits that home run over the center field fence. But I know why Shildt started Cronenworth. Cronenworth, he'd have been looking down at the top of his baseball shoes. He'd have been bummed. I get that. You want to keep one of your everyday core players upbeat. And I get that. But I also get that you got to play the percentage against a guy like Chris Sale. Now, Chris Sale did not have his great stuff. He ended up with 7 strikeouts in 5 innings, but that wasn't Chris Sale. He was another guy, even though it was his 6th career opening day start, he was all over the place early. And then he settled in and ended up doing a nice job. I mean, Chris Sale yesterday, 5 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs, a walk, 7 strikeouts, 84 pitches in 5 innings. That's way too many pitches. But he hung in there, was able to, find a way. And then the bullpen couldn't get the job done for Brian Snitker's ball club. But I got the lineup and I understood it. but I didn't necessarily agree with it because I've been saying for the last two shows that I thought Iglesias should have been the starting second baseman against the left-hander. Okay, let's talk about Manny. Manny had a miserable spring. A miserable spring. But yesterday, man, he looked great. Couple of doubles yesterday. 2 for 3 a walk, the two doubles, two stolen bases, stole second and third base. That was good stuff. And if Manny can get off to a good start and not hit 180 or 185 or 190 the first 6, 7, 8 weeks of the season, Padres are going to be right there. Now, I said yesterday, about 10 minutes before the game started, I put a tweet out. I said the Padres are going to go 85 and 77. I am concerned about when Darvish will come back. And by the way, Darvish threw a little bit yesterday. And as far as I know, everything went well. He was just playing catch. He hadn't been playing catch at all. Played catch yesterday prior to the ball game. And, we don't know what we're getting out of Kyle Hart. We kind of know what we're getting out of Randy Vasquez, and we know what we're going to get when Matt Waldron comes back. And Stephen Kolek's going to start the year in the minor leagues. There's a lot of if this, if that with the Padres right now. I went 85 and 77, but I think 85 is going to be tight. But I think they can sneak their way into the playoffs. I think the PECOTA rankings, I got those here. I think, I don't know what I forget. I think they had the Padres at 84. Yeah, they got the Padres going 84 and 78. I got the Padres going 85 and 77. So we're close. They had the Dodgers winning 103.8, Arizona 86.9, Padres 84, the Giants 77.9, and Colorado 56. But Manny got off to a great start yesterday, and that's cool. I mean, if he can get off to a good start, he's going to hit 30-plus dingers. He ended up with 29 last year and drove in over 100 runs. Hitting 29 homers really sucks because you want to get that 30th. Okay, you want that round number. And same thing like a guy that finishes the year hitting 299. Man, can't you find a way to find him another hit somewhere to get him to 300? But Manny last year, 29 bombs. And that was after a really slow start and coming off the surgery and drove in over 100 runs. And I just pray. I pray that Fernando and Manny can stay healthy because then this team, anything could happen if these two guys could stay healthy for an entire year, and namely Fernando. So a good start for Fernando, a good start for Manny Machado, and how about Jackson Merrill? He robs a home run yesterday. Brandon Lockridge robbed a home run yesterday, too. That would have been, a 3-run homer Lockridge robbed? But Jackson Merrill, a great ball game yesterday. Jackson, 1 for 3, sack fly, 4 RBIs. That's a good deal. Good deal. And I'll tell you, that base hit he got to give the Padres the lead yesterday in the bottom of the third, that was a damn good piece of hitting. He went down and just stayed on that baseball and drove it in there for a base hit, scored a couple of runs. That was a hell of a swing. In fact, I'll tell you, the first thing I thought, and I don't like to come back and talk about Tony Gwynn because Tony was in his own class. But if you watch that swing by Jackson Merrill yesterday, that's a swing of guys that win batting titles. I don't know if he'll ever win a batting title, but I'll tell you what, this kid's got a hell of a swing. He stays on the baseball, and he looked great yesterday, I thought. Okay, let's talk about Gavin Sheets. Gavin Sheets had, arguably as good a spring as anybody. Oscar Gonzalez, who got optioned out, played great. And, probably deserved a roster spot. A lot of teams that have probably been in the big leagues on opening day. Instead, he'll be in the lineup for the El Paso Ball Club when they open up. But Gavin Sheets yesterday coming off the bench probably was bummed that he didn't start because of the great spring, but he understood, Mike Schilt going to go with the veteran Yuli Gurriel as the DH. So he ended up having to pinch hit yesterday. By the way, Yuli Gurriel 0 for 4 and a strikeout yesterday. But Gavin Sheets, sure, he'll be in the lineup tonight. Probably as the designated hitter, I would think. But anyways, he comes off and hits that ball over center field against Hector Neris. That was good stuff. I said when the Padres signed him to a minor league contract, this guy has untapped potential. Untapped potential. You got big, strong guy. And I think if he uses his lower half, uses his hands a little better, he's going to put up a good year. I mean, he didn't have a great year last year. But again, he was playing for the Chicago White Sox. But he looked great. I loved when he was so pumped running around the base. I felt really good for him because guys that are coming off bad years, they work hard in the off season. He comes to a new ball club. He's trying to get to know his teammates. He wants to perform. And remember, he first game, he got 2 hits. And then next thing you know, he goes like 0 for 13. He's like 2 for 15. And then he went crazy and hit all those home runs in spring training. Got that average up over 300 in spring training. So I'm excited about Gavin Sheets. I mean, this is another one that AJ Preller and Josh Stein and the entire front office, pro scouting, they did their homework on this guy. This guy's got some ability, and he can help you in the outfield. He can play both corners. He can play first base if needed. So a very nice sign and off to a very nice start. I want to talk about Elias Diaz for a second. Here's a guy a few years ago was an All-Star and was actually the MVP of the All-Star game. Remember, he hit that home run and ended up being the MVP of the All-Star game. Last year, we didn't really see the real Elias Diaz. He got here late, really wasn't playing a whole lot, but he struggled, I thought, yesterday behind the plate. But again, he didn't struggle later on in the game, but he struggled early. Michael King was just all over the place. He had no idea, man, that ball was sinking and going out to the right. He's trying to throw that sweeper. I mean, it's tough, man. It's tough. When you got guys throwing 95 miles an hour and they don't know where it's going, it's not a fun day at the old ball yard. But Elias Diaz hung in there and he got a couple of hits yesterday. That's a real plus. Now, he ended up coming out. Martin Maldonado came in, finished up, went 0 for 1, had a strikeout. Martin Maldonado, I have no problem with him behind the plate catching. You're not going to get a whole lot offensively. Every once in a while, he'll run into one and pull one out to left field for a home run, but don't expect a lot. I do expect Diaz to hit at least 250, 255, somewhere in that neighborhood, and I can take that. Martin Maldonado for me is going to be a work in progress. How long can they carry a catcher that really, I don't want to say he's an automatic out because anybody with a bat in their hand could be dangerous. But I don't know how long you can carry a 38-year-old catcher who struggles to hit even 180. So we'll see where that goes. Okay, I want to get to Coach's Mailbag, and I want a lot of questions. I love the questions, folks. It's always good stuff. And we're going to get back to it. Keith Beebe, in light of the current catching situation, do you think the Padres could bring up Ethan Salas sooner rather than later? No. Keith, he's in the minor leagues all year, and he'll probably start in the minor leagues next year. And I think the earliest, and that would be with a lot of growth offensively, would be at the end of 2026. I don't see. He's 18 years old, hadn't even turned 19. Turns 19 this summer. I think pretty quick. So no, I think hitting 206 last year in high A ball, that doesn't exactly tell me he's ready to hit major league pitching. And I haven't heard where they're going to start him. For me, I would start him back in high A ball. I'd send him back to Fort Wayne. Let him have a good first half. If everything's going well, second half, I would move him to Double A, and then see where he's at that point in time. I'll tell you this: I'm not one of these guys that's afraid to bring a guy up from Double A. Now, again, I wouldn't bring him up this year. Now, they would have brought him up probably at the end of this year if the rosters could expand. You can only expand your roster, I think, by 2 now. You used to be able to bring up anybody on your 40-man roster after a certain date. And September 1st, man, you could bring up whoever you wanted. But now they only limit you to have 2 call-ups, which kind of sucks. But you got to remember something. When the Padres call him up, his clock starts ticking towards free agency, and the Padres would have him under control for 6 years. When he comes up, I want him to be the guy. I don't want him to be a platoon guy. I want him to be the guy. So start him in high A ball this year. Try to get him to Double A. If the bat's playing, you get him to Double A. Next year, probably start him in Double A, and if he's doing well, hell, call him up from Double A next year. But I don't see any way, shape, or form he comes up this year. Number one, he's not ready, and number two, you start his time clock. He becomes a free agent by about the time he's 25 years of age, and you don't want that. All right, Keith, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Reminder, if you're just tuning in, starting on Monday, we are going to go 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and we're moving our show from 10 a.m. Now we will start at 9 a.m. So be ready for that. Okay, let's keep the questions coming. Again, always love the questions. Mike, I just can't see the Padres making the playoffs this year. Everyone is going to have to play over their heads. No, they don't have to play over their heads. They just got to do what they do. I mean, if Bogarts hits 265, Cronenworth hits 250, Arise does what he normally does and hit 300 with not a lot of power. But I think Arise going to hit with more power. You know what you're getting in right field as long as he stays healthy, and I think you have a pretty good idea what you're going to get in center field. The offense for the Padres is not my concern. My concern is the starting pitching. Bullpen's going to be fine. They're going to have their blips on the radar. Every ball club does. I mean, I know the Padres are on pace for 162 wins, but let's calm down here. So are the Dodgers. They're 3-0. And I'll get you some baseball notes a little bit later on, and we'll wrap up what went on yesterday in the National League West. But I think the Padres, if they can get 85 wins, they're going to be right there. But again, I think in my heart, I look at the division, and obviously I want to see the National League West teams, do more damage than the NLE. The Braves are really good. I think the Braves are, in my opinion, the Braves are the second best team in the National League behind the Dodgers right now. But they had all kinds of injuries. They don't have Ronald Acuna Jr. right now. They're battling some injuries in their starting pitching staff and their bullpen. We'll see where it goes. But, the division that scares me more than anything else, because it's not all that strong, is the NL Central. And maybe they end up getting a wild card team. They're obviously going to get their division winner, and then they may get a wild card. But I think you wouldn't know it by last night. Arizona looked terrible, by the way. Zach Gallen didn't look good. They got beat 10-6 by the Cubbies last night. Cubs are a team that could be some problems. Seems like people are really talking the Cubs up this year. I don't know, because I really don't know why, but everybody telling me they're going to be pretty good. We'll see. But they took down Arizona last night, 10-6. But I could see the Padres with 85 wins. They're going to be in the conversation. I could see them sneaking in. But again, you got to keep healthy. Health is the utmost with the Padres more than anything else. They're going to score runs. Can their starting pitchers limit the runs and get to that bullpen, the way I look at it? All right, let's keep those questions coming. Izzy, Coach, I'm very disappointed with this current bench roster. Catchers and senior citizens blocking our young, not so young prospects. Well, I think Campusano will be up here. They're going to give Maldonado an opportunity. Diaz, I think, will be here. Diaz, I'm not concerned about. I called this even before they re-signed him. I go, they'll re-sign Elias Diaz. He'll be their guy. But they're not going to be one guy that's going to be the guy behind the plate. It's going to be a tandem effort. And I think Maldonado, we'll see where it goes, how the Padres are performing, what he's doing at the plate. Campusano at some point has to get back up here. And, Yuli Gurriel, 40 years of age. If you go back over the last 3 years, he hadn't done squat. And I know, I'm listening to Ursillo and Mark Grant, and they're talking yesterday about his leadership and this and that. Well, at some point in time, I know he played on a couple of World Series championship ball clubs. But at the end of the day, you got to produce. It's a game of production. If you're not producing, you're not going to be around. And if you look at the back of Yuli Gurriel's baseball card, last 3 years have not been kind to him. So we'll see how long that lasts. But you got guys down there that had options. And again, it comes down to keeping as many guys as you think can help the organization. And the guys that have options, they sometimes get screwed. And that's just the way the game works. Oscar Gonzalez deserved to be on this ball club. Brandon Lockridge, who didn't have a great day yesterday swinging the bat, but saved a 3-run homer, he earned a spot on this roster. He had a great spring. Turso or Nellis. I think we're going to see him at some point in time. Whether he gets called up just because one guy's not doing a good job or a guy goes on the IL, we'll see Turso or Nellis this year. We should. Least of all, the Padres have some options. If some of these vets, Jason Hayward, if he doesn't get the job done, then, bring Turso or Nellis up. So, they've got some guys. Hopefully those guys don't go down there and pout. I had the old 72-hour rule. When you get released, or more so when you get sent down, you got 72 hours to bitch, moan, and complain. And then once you get your crap out of the locker room, go to the next locker room, you got to be ready to play. Because nobody's going to feel sorry for you in the game of baseball, or in sports, or in life for that matter. You can bitch, moan, and complain, be disappointed, angry, pissed off at the general manager, the pro scouting guy, whoever you want to be pissed off at. But once you walk into that next clubhouse, whether it's in AAA or AA, you got to be ready to play. Because if you're not going to play and put up numbers, you're not going to even have a job. You can be pissed all you want sitting in your living room watching games on TV. So hopefully all the guys go down there. I get the disappointment, but you got to go down there and you got to show them that they made a mistake. That's what you have to do. Okay, Izzy, Coach, he brought that up about the bench. Well, the bench is in flux right now. Let's take a look. Will Sheets get some starts at DH. Yeah, I think he'll DH tonight, quite frankly. Seems like Iglesias and Gurriel will get most of the bats at DH. It's going to be interesting to see how they get Iglesias into ball games. I would think tonight Sheets would be the designated hitter. I don't know if Iglesias plays tonight. I mean, you had a golden opportunity to start him yesterday, and Mike Schultz didn't want to hurt Cronenworth's feelings, so he started him at second base. I'd like to get Iglesias in there. He didn't have a lot of at-bats in spring. He'd probably like to have gotten another 20 at-bats. I'm sure he took some at-bats over on the backfield against the minor leaguers, but that's not like hitting major league pitching. But I would imagine if I had a crystal ball and had the lineup card in front of me right now, I would think Sheets would be the designated hitter tonight. I don't know. I don't think you're going to monkey around too much with that lineup tonight. You won a ball game yesterday. Anacote Powder. Jake Cronenworth should not have started against Sale. Absolutely. I mean, I brought it up last week. And, I don't want people to think that I'm dogging Jake Cronenworth. The numbers don't lie. I mean, I didn't make up last year against left-handed pitching. He had 203 and 153 at-bats with a 276 on-base percentage and an OPS of 531. Struck out 31 times. And then, Iglesias, he had 92 at-bats with the Mets last year against left-handers. Only thing he did was hit 402 and a 455 on-base percentage and an OPS of 884. I mean, Mike Schultz knows those numbers. But he didn't want to hurt Cronenworth's feeling. Yeah, Cronenworth's one of their core guys, and people are wearing the Cronenworth jersey. I don't think anybody has a Jose Iglesias jersey yet. But like I said on Monday, for me, we're out to win ball games, not popularity contests. But I get why Mike Schultz did what he did. And by the way, I thought Mike Schultz managed an outstanding game yesterday. I mean, the manager's going to get picked on. But normally when I pick on him, I'm picking on him when I'm either at the game or in my living room before he does anything. Always trying to manage your head like managers do. And I think Mike Schultz, more times than not, he goes by the book. And I thought he managed a good game yesterday. I thought he did a really nice job utilizing that bullpen to where those guys didn't get wore out. Okay, King's edge pitches were consistently missing off the plate by 3-4 inches. He was way too pumped up. I mean, opening day's different, man. I mean, there's just a hum in the ballpark. Everything is focused on, getting the season started. King's first start in the big leagues on opening day. I can only imagine. I mean, I can only imagine. Like I said at the top of the show, he's going to be better. We're going to give him some time. He'll get better, but I didn't think he had a good spring. I thought his last two starts he threw the ball better, but his numbers weren't all that great. They really weren't. But he'll be better, and he'll settle in and be more Michael King. Yesterday, I don't know what he was trying to do. He was throwing yesterday rather than pitching. I mean, he was all over. I mean, he was trying to throw that sweeper. He was trying to throw a sinker. I mean, poor Elias Diaz. He probably had to go in the dugout or back into the clubhouse after that first inning and wash his face. He was eating dirt balls right and left. I mean, that was crazy. But again, you see that happen from time to time. All right, let's keep them rolling here. If you got more questions, we'll get them in. I want to get to some of the things that went on in baseball yesterday. The other night I have a philosophy that I like to keep my relationships in baseball because I worked hard to develop relationships in baseball. So every year, the night before opening day, I text managers and people in baseball that I have a great affection for. And one of the guys I got a great affection for is Will Venable, the new manager of the Chicago White Sox. And I texted Will the other night, and we had a nice little exchange. And then I sent him another message last night after his Chicago White Sox defeated the Angels 8-1. And it was great. First managerial win. Of course, the last couple of years, he worked with Bruce Bochy in Texas, part of that championship team 2 seasons ago. And of course, he spent a bulk of his career with the Padres and one of the all-time great guys. I mean, just a marvelous guy. Everybody knew he graduated from Princeton. He was a baseball player, great basketball player at Princeton. And got his first managerial win. They beat the Angels. And how about the Angels yesterday? How bad are they? They're down 8-0. And they got to bring a middle infielder in Nick Boyd, who, by the way, played for the White Sox last year. They had to bring him in to get the final out at the 8th inning. So after the game, they get him up in the middle of the clubhouse. And I share this with you because the former Padre, and he was one of those guys who went out to a lot of community events. A lot of people know Will Venable personally because he was one of the guys back in the day with Nick Hundley and Chris Young and those guys that went out in the community and did a lot of really good things, and the fans really liked him. But anyways, they put Will in a laundry cart and they push him through the clubhouse and he gets sprayed with liquid. I don't know what kind of liquid it was, maybe beer, champagne, water. I don't know. But it was really cool. Remember, the White Sox last year lost 121 games. They're 1-0 right now. So there you have it. So I thought that was pretty cool. Okay, now, kind of give you an update on what went on in the National League West yesterday. Colorado opens up later today. They're in Tampa Bay. They were off yesterday. So their opening day is today. I already texted Buddy, and he's already got back to me and wished him the best for the 2025 season. Yesterday, Dodgers, Blake Snell. First game for Blake Snell. He picked up the win. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 runs, 4 walks, 2 strikeouts. All right. I mean, nothing to get overly excited about if you're a Dodger fan. But Blake Snell went out there and did what Blake Snell does. And he wasn't all sharp and trying to do too much, a lot like Michael King. But Dodgers end up winning the ball game 5-4. Teoscar Hernandez unloaded that 3-run homer, 2 outs, bottom of the 5th against last year's Cy Young Award winner in the American League, Tarek Skubal. Tommy Edman homered yesterday. Shohei went 2 for 4, his second homer of the year. Dodgers hung on against the White Sox. The Giants, how about the Giants? Wilmer Flores cranked a 3-run dinger in the top of the 9th at the not-so-great American ballpark in Cincinnati. How about this? The Reds have got the lead with 2 outs in the 9th inning, and they give up 4 runs and get beat by the San Francisco Giants. How about that? And, if things weren't bad enough for Terry Francona, check this story out. He made his major league managerial debut yesterday with the Cincinnati Reds. They blow a big lead and end up giving up 4 in the 9th and get beat by Bob Melvin and the San Francisco Giants. But in the morning, before he ever got to the ballpark, he had to go to the dentist. He had like an emergency procedure, dental procedure before he ever got to the ball game. And then his team burps up a lead in the 9th inning, giving up 4, and Wilmer Flores takes them over the boards and they hang on the Giants to win the ball game. And then I mentioned last night, Arizona. I mean, Zach Gallen just didn't have any. I think he ended up going like 4 innings. You kind of figured Corbin Burns might make that start, but I'm sure he's going tonight. But Zach Gallen didn't have it last night. He's another guy. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. See how his year goes. But the Diamondbacks get beat last night in their home ballpark 10-6. So that's what you got on that. But I want to hear from more of you Padre fans. And again, reminder, we are going starting on Monday. We're going Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. 9 a.m. A little bit earlier of a cattle call. And we want your comments on YouTube. We want your comments on Facebook. And we want your comments on X. Now, tonight, the Padres are going to go for win number 2. They got right-hander Dylan Cease, 14-11 a year ago, with a 3.47 going against a nice veteran right-hander and Reynaldo Lopez, 8-5 and a 1.99 last year. This Braves team is tough, but you know what? Our Padre team is awful tough. Now remember, tomorrow Padres play a nationally televised game, and then on Sunday they're going to be on ESPN. Carl Ravitch, Buster Olney, Eduardo Perez, David Cohn, they're going to be at Petco Park. I listened to them do the Dodger or Detroit game yesterday, and they said they're going to be at Petco Park, and I'm going to be at Petco Park on Sunday night. That game's going to start, I believe, at 4:10 on Sunday. So we got a 4:15 start on Saturday and a 4:10 start on Sunday. And then Monday, the Cleveland Guardians come in. Guardians are tough. I'm going to actually see the Guardians a week from Sunday. I'm going with my 6-year-old grandson and the family. We're going up to Anaheim Stadium. I haven't been to Anaheim Stadium in a long time. We're going to go up there and watch the Angels take on the Guardians. So that ought to be kind of fun. But I'll be at the ballpark this Sunday. If you see me walking around, please say hello. But yesterday, all in all, a good day for our San Diego Padres. And again, health is going to be the primary thing with this ball club. If they stay healthy, they're going to have a very good year. I did predict them to go 85-77 and sneak into the playoffs. What do you think on that? The other thing that I want some reaction. You fans have not given me reaction about Fernando. I mean, I'm really fired up about him being in the leadoff spot. Now, is that only going to be against left-handers, or are they going to run him out there against right-handers? Is he going to be the everyday leadoff hitter for the Padres? Like I said earlier, I think he's much more engaged when he's leading off. Not that he's not engaged when he's hitting second or hitting third or hitting fourth, but to me, he wants to be that offensive catalyst. And the way Elias can spray the ball around, why not let him hit second? He's a great second hitter. Put that ball in play. And Fernando, I just worry. I got to be honest with you. I want to see him run because that's one of his great talents. But again, got to keep this guy healthy. If we keep him healthy, it's going to be a fun year. And again, tonight, Dylan Cease, hopefully, he's a veteran, but you never know how guys are going to react their first time out. You just never know. But hopefully he goes out there and pitches rather than throws tonight. Because you start throwing against the Atlanta Braves, that ball's going to flatten out, and they're going to start taking the ball over the boards. So you got to have a good start. Now, I'm not sure exactly. Mike Schilt tonight will make the decision who's going to pitch Game 3. Pivetta, from what we understand, is going to have the final game against Atlanta. It's either going to be Randy Vasquez or it's going to be Kyle Hart. And I think they probably will go with Kyle Hart. But again, I'm sure Mike Schilt will make that decision either prior to the game, but more so probably after the game, the way I see it. So again, I appreciate you tuning in. We're excited about going 3 days a week. And the reason we did this, there are a couple of reasons. Number one, you fans were getting a hold of us and saying, hey, we want a little bit more. We're not getting what we need some other places. We wanted you to get on a little bit more. Okay, and we had to have a meeting on this. This wasn't a slam dunk. I'm doing this show because of you fans. I'm not doing it because we're getting rich doing it. We're doing it because We enjoy talking baseball with you fans. I did it for 30 years, 30 plus years. And, it's more of a hobby now than anything else, quite frankly. And I don't want to feel like I'm working in the radio industry any longer. I did my sentence there. And most of it was awful fun. There are some things that weren't fun. But have a great time visiting with you fans. And the true fans, I appreciate you. I love you. Now, the thing I would like you to do, if you haven't already subscribed, it only takes a few seconds, doesn't cost any money. Please subscribe, like the channel, and please pass the word. I'd very much appreciate it if you'd pass the word. The one thing we're not going to get into at this time of year, we're not going to talk a lot of football. We're not going to talk a lot of basketball. Boy, the Lakers, though, oh my God, how they lost that game last night to the Bulls made me barf. I mean, they get beat on a half-court shot. They had a 6-point lead with like 12 seconds to go and they ended up losing the game. They gave up 3-pointers, one of them by Josh Giddey for more than half court at the buzzer, and they get beat by 2 last night in Chicago. They're not playing good. But the one thing I did want to say on basketball, because we're going to talk primarily Padres, we're going to talk baseball, whether it's the Dodgers, Angels, Giants, Reds. We're going to try to keep you up to date with everything that's going on in baseball. But things are not looking good for San Diego State. They lost Nick Boyd last Friday. This week they lost Magoon Gwath, DeMarshe Johnson, a role player, backup guy, been there for a few years. He transferred out. Hey, good luck to all the guys, but that's the way of the world now, folks. I'm not going to lose a lot of sleep over that. Let Brian Dutcher, his staff, and the Mesa Foundation figure that out. They're able to put together a great ball club, great, but there is a breaking point in college athletics. You see what St. Francis, who made the NCAA tournament and got beat. They're a Division I program. They're dropping down now. They don't want to play a part of NIL. They said, we're not dropping down to Division II. We're going down to Division III. And so, you're going to see teams that are going to get out of Division I because they can't compete. And it's going to be like football. Now, basketball, I think, is a little bit easier to put a team together because you don't need as many bodies. In football, it's going to be very difficult going forward. All the Mountain West Conference schools, the MAC schools, they're basically farm teams now for the Power 4 conferences. And that's sad, but it is what it is. And the loyalty now is nowhere there. There's not loyalty with coaches. There's not loyalty with players. It's just a different environment. And I'll tell you this, I'm glad I grew up, coached, played, and broadcast in the environment that I broadcast in and lived in as a player and as a coach in high school, junior college, and college. It's just a different deal. And just enjoy life. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. But I do lose sleep over the Padres because I want the Padres to win a World Series in my lifetime. But anyways, want to thank everyone for tuning in. We'll be back again Monday morning. Now remember, set your notifications so you don't miss any of our programs. I know you can go online, but you want to hear it live. We want you to be a part of it. So make sure you set your notifications, subscribe, like, set the notifications. We'll be back in on Monday morning. Remember, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, starting Monday at 9 a.m. Until then, Coach John Kentera, have a great weekend and enjoy all the great baseball, folks. Bye-bye.